Yes lads, what's going on? Welcome back to yet another video, and this is the Premier League roundup of Game Week 4. We're going to get straight into it with Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Obviously, I may or may not have predicted it right. I know, hats off, thanks everyone, it's just what I do really, I mean, Zubamendi scoring 2, no one's getting that realistically, are they? But yeah, I got the score right, it's kind of predictable, wasn't it really? Nottingham Forest just sat their manager. Ange Ball isn't, the best football to play in the Premier League realistically after last season. So yeah, tough ask for Nottingham Forest away at Emirates, but Arsenal got the job done. Zubamendi had an absolute corker of a game. But yeah, there's not much to talk about that one, to be quite frank with you. Arsenal dominated the game entirely, as they should have. Executed everything to almost perfectly, dare I say. Forest didn't really have a sniff at goal, but Arsenal defensively were very solid as well without Saliba as well. But City next week is a tough ask. We'll get into that later, but Bournemouth Brighton, obviously Bournemouth won 2-1, and again, I don't even know what I predicted. I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure I predicted Bournemouth to win. I'm pretty sure. Let me just check. I predicted 2-0 Bournemouth, unfortunately. I was a goal off, but I was there and thereabouts. Semenyo is in form practically, isn't he really? And Brighton didn't have the best of starts despite their win before the break against Man City at home. But, Brighton haven't really looked... When I've watched them, even against City, they didn't look like a threat. There's just 2 counter-attacks. Counter-attacks each game, a penalty in the opening against Fulham. It's just quite scrappy, to be honest. None of their players have looked exceptionally good. Minter against City was very good, to be fair. But other than that, they've not really had any standout players unlike Bournemouth. We've had Semenyo and like Ryan Christie last season as well, who's doing pretty alright. And Senesi this season has been fantastic as well. But yeah, Bournemouth, again, they just looked the part. They looked like they were good despite the defensive losses they had last season and over the window. Bournemouth have actually looked very good. Even against Liverpool in the opening night, they actually looked very good. And in my personal opinion, they're actually hard done by losing by 2 goals. But that's football, isn't it? Really, that's just football. Anyway, Palace Sunderland. I said 4-0. Sorry, Palace. It was 0-0. I mean, at least I got the Sunderland not scoring part right. At least I got something right. But yeah, Palace. I mean, 0-0 against Sunderland, who again haven't been shocking this opening to start the season, but they haven't been great. Palace should be beating them at home. Still, I do think. In fairness to Palace, they have had a lot more games than everyone else. Community Shield and all the Conference League games, but to get in to play in the Conference League, you have to do them games, so it's just a sacrifice they have to take. And drawing these games is part of it, I guess. That's just the way of football. If you're not a smaller team necessarily, but trying to break into Europe and stuff like that. Moving on, I said Everton versus Villa. It was 0-0 again. Honestly, 3 o'clock games are absolute corkers at all. The absolute lot of them. I said 2-1 Everton because I said Villa can't stop. No, they can't stop not scoring. That's the one. And they can. But they can. They bloody well can. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Everton away it's a tough place to go, especially with Everton's defence is quite good. But again, Villa, they just look shocking. They went out to Brentford last night in the bloody Carabao Cup on pens, and Harvey Elliott scored their only goal. Watkins, I'm pretty sure, came off the bench, but again did nothing. Scored his pen though, so small W's wherever they lie. But Everton, it was just a 0-0 game realistically in the grand scheme of things. Fulham Leeds, I said 2-1 Fulham. It was 1-0 Fulham, so I'd argue I've got that right, to be honest. But no, that new signing Kevin for Fulham, he looked very good. I must add, he looked very good. That shot he had that Darlow saved, oh my god, that would have been up there with goal of the season, you know. Fulham were playing some very attractive football. And Leeds, again, they didn't, in my opinion, Calvert-Lewin, he can't carry on, can he? Yeah. No, genuinely, Calvert-Lewin is not a Premier League striker anymore. How he missed a half them chances he had is beyond me. Right at the keeper almost every time. You almost think he's probably playing for the opposition at this point. Moving on, Newcastle, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I said 3-0 Newcastle, it was 1-0. Again, like, Wolves haven't been great, realistically. Obviously, the loss to City opening game week. I can't think of who else they've played, to be honest. Everton, and they lost, I think. So, like, they haven't been great. And Newcastle with all the new signings, well, the new signing scored, in fairness, and the other Wissa was injured, so it's just one new striker, which was the difference in the end. So I'm not going to say money well spent, because, you know, him winning one game for you doesn't, like, make up for, like, the 70 mil you spent. But it was a great header, and in credit to him, but I think Newcastle need more. At home against quite a poor Wolves side, they need to be dominating the game a bit more. I think Wolves had chances in that game and could have even won, especially in the opening, like, 20 seconds. What was it, when Nick Pope had to make a save? Yeah, it could have got ugly for Newcastle there, but they you know, a stroke of luck, and then, you know, just the golf in quality ended up getting them over the line. The Saturday night games, I almost got West Ham Spurs right. I said 4-0, it was 3. It could have been 4. Xavi Simons looked very good on his Spurs debut. And yeah, Spurs just looked good again. They just looked good again. They looked the part with Frank. And Pat Metasar is phenomenal. This season he has been on fire. And even Lucas Bergvall, Bentancur, obviously I don't think Bentancur started, or Basuma didn't start, but like Bergvall, Metasar, Bentancur and Basuma, that rotation 4 is incredible. Like, genuinely, the class all those players have is incredible, and they can prepare for any situation with each of their skill sets. And obviously Spurs' attack is just very good, and their defence, by the way, Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Spence, Vicario. I mean, I don't think I'll be saying this, but Spurs have got one of the best defences in the league so far this season, genuinely. What have they done? Kept a clean sheet opening day against Burnley, clean sheet second weekend against City. Then who did they play just before the break? They might have drawn. I feel like they might have drawn. I'll have a quick search. Who on earth did they play? They played West and then a clean sheet against West Ham this week. Last week they lost 1-0 to Bournemouth. So they conceded 1 goal in 4 and kept 3 clean sheets. I mean, that is some going. I mean, even Arsenal haven't done that, have they? Actually, they might have. They have. I'm pretty sure they have. Yeah, they have. Nice. But like, even for like a Tottenham side who last season with you know, conceding left, right, and centre, that change in just a tactical point of view, like just with one tactical tweak, is mental. And hats off to him. To be fair to Frank as well. Frank is just such a good manager. I mean, he obviously saw it at Brentford. The way, I mean, it's even the way like he's using Kudus, how he used Mbeumo. It's like it's the exact same player. He's bought a left-footed right winger who has the exact same attributes as Mbeumo, the exact same football knowledge and stuff, and it just works. And then if you add, instead of, you know, Kevin Schade, you have Xavi Simons or Brennan Johnson, who's just a better player in general. You know, you're going to start winning games by comfortable margins, hence against West Ham United and stuff like that. And then the 8 o'clock on Saturday was Brentford Chelsea. I said 3-0 Chelsea and it was 2-2. So only a bit off though. Again, Brentford actually looked very good, and they just beat Villa the other night in the Carabao Cup on pens. But again, they look good, and Chelsea don't. Well, Chelsea looked alright, but again, without Palmer, they were finished. And I know against West Ham and against Fulham, they managed to survive. But I don't think it's going to last them very long. I don't think that's sustainable without Palmer. Because Palmer got back into that game single-handedly practically. And I don't think they can continue. Like, if he gets injured again, they could be not in trouble, obviously, because they're fighting for Champions League football, but they could their title not charge, because I don't think Chelsea are going to be in the push and shove come the end of the season. But in like the fight for fourth and third, I think Chelsea could end up falling off a bit if Palmer isn't to stay fit. Yeah, they just I wouldn't say they didn't look good, you know what I mean? But it's just like they didn't look great. Like, but when you're expecting a Champions League side, Club World Cup winners, they look shocking. Like against PSG, compared to PSG and the Barcelonas, the Liverpools, they looked miles worse. Not obviously miles, but substantially worse than the top teams in the world. Moving on the Sunday, I said 5-0 Liverpool. It was 1-0 and it was a bloody penalty. Burnley defended very well in fairness, and Liverpool, that's Wirtz's best game I've seen him play for Liverpool so far. He just looked like he wanted to play. He had the extra bit of urgency about him, the extra bit of tempo, and it showed, especially on him and Gakpo's connection down the left hand flank was working a treat for them throughout that game. And again, Salah, well, I mean, did he start? He must have got subbed on. I only saw him at the 93rd minute when he was taking the penalty, to be honest. Other than that, I didn't see him. And maybe Kyle Walker isn't washed, but he is. But like Kyle Walker, I wouldn't say he managed Gakpo. He didn't dominate him, but he managed him. Like, he put up with him. He fought his ground, held his own. Another like a 35-year-old player, that's all you can ask. A player, Gakpo, probably in his prime right now. He's probably only going to get better as well. Walker did very well that game to manage him, because he's been on form recently. And Dubravka as well did quite a good game. Just Burnley defence in general was very good, and even going forward on the counter-attack, they hurt Liverpool quite a bit, and I was surprised they didn't score, in fairness. I thought Burnley should have scored. I think they even could have won the game. Obviously the pen's unlucky, but why is his hand out there in general? His hand is in no man's land. And that's the price. That's going to be the price you play. Price you pay. Cheers, lads. But yeah, Burnley, I mean, they might look back on that, and that could be a valuable point that they've missed out on. Obviously, you don't expect them to get a point there, so they haven't really, that's kind of expected them to lose. But that point there, they would have won that point. That would have classed as a win for them. And I think they were unlucky to come out with a 1-0 loss and no points to show for it as well. Moving on, the game of the weekend, in my opinion, Manchester City versus Manchester United. I predicted 3-1. It was 3-0. I thought United were better, but obviously I forgot how good Donnarumma was. Realistically, I would have been right if that Mbeumo shot went in, but Donnarumma's got freakish arms and legs. He can reach anywhere, apparently. I mean, as a City fan, that is delightful to wear. A proper goalkeeper, a world-class keeper. That Donnarumma's going to win your point. Obviously, he's going to win your points, but single-handedly win your games. Especially in the big knockout games that PSG had in the back end of last season's Champions League. Against Arsenal and Liverpool, Donnarumma had absolute blinders, and he was a massive part of their success last season, and he's looking like he's going to do the same for City. Haaland looked very good. Foden could be back. to near enough his best. But I think one of the main things to realise is Amorim is going to get sacked. I think Mark Goddard was talking about it, but the way to survive at Man United is by using Bruno in his best way. You know, Bruno's he's not a number 8. Bruno is not a number 8 midfielder. He's a number 10. He can't operate in the 8. You know, he kept losing his man for the first goal especially. Bruno just forgot about Foden. Foden found space on the penalty area. I don't know how you're letting a player roam around the penalty area without being marked. And obviously that Doku feat for the first goal was sublime as well. And Bayindir for the first goal can't do much. You know, it's just shocking defending. You know, Bayindir had no blame on that from my point of view. For the second goal as well, it's poor defending again. I'd also say it's good attacking. You know, good play from O'Reilly, Foden, Doku into Haaland, and then it's a classic Haaland finish. You know, it's cheeky, but Bayindir could be quick off his line. He could have stayed up straight, because from the angle, the only way Haaland was going to score realistically was by going over the goalkeeper. So realistically, he should have just stayed up straight, and Haaland probably wouldn't have scored. So he went to ground there, and then for the Haaland miss, Bayindir was slow off his line. But again, you know, his confidence has been getting bollocked for the past few weeks. So, you know, the fans aren't really helping him either by getting on his back. And that game didn't help his case either, to be honest. He didn't have the best of games. No one did, in fairness. Man United just overall were... I'm going to say it, they were shit. Man United were shit. I've said it now. I think City were good as well, though. I think Rodri, Reinders and Bernardo Silva is City's best midfield. And I think Foden is arguably a must. When Cherki comes back, Cherki could probably play that role that Foden was playing. But for the time being, while Cherki's out, Foden, for me, has to be a starter. Just the class he has, the understanding of Pep and how he wants to play is pivotal. And he gets Haaland as well. You know, he's played with Haaland for the past, well, when he joined the club like 3 or 4 years ago now. So he knows how he wants to play. Tijani Reinders as well, an absolute corker of a game in my opinion. I think he was unlucky with his shot that he missed, but you know, that's football really. The curl he put on it took it away inevitably. But other than that, in my opinion, it was a shocking weekend. You know, I was expecting a Liverpool battering. I was expecting City United to be quite a close game, quite enthralling. And even Everton Villa was a 0-0, Palace Sunderland was a 0-0, 1-0s everywhere. You know, Newcastle won 1-0, Fulham won 1-0. Spurs looked very good in fairness, but Chelsea game was quite a bit of a bore, not gonna lie to you. But other than that, game week 5 this weekend, City Arsenal's a big one. And even Man United Chelsea is quite a big one as well. So there, my predictions will be out in the coming days for them. But other than that, make sure to go check out my TikTok and Twitch down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. And other than that, over and out.